Hello, everyone. This is your girl, Rita, also known as the self proclaimed gold digger, coming to you today with another video. And if you are new to my channel, I talk about my life as a wife, mom, entrepreneur, and business owner, and share with you tips and tricks, lessons, and mistakes that I have made as an entrepreneur in hopes that you can learn from them and not make the same mistakes in your business. And today's topic that we are going to be talking about is the top 5 things that I struggle with in business ownership or just as being an entrepreneur. Okay. Entrepreneurship comes with all kinds of twists, turns. It has definitely been a roller coaster ride, but these things are the top 5 things that I find myself struggling with and dealing with pretty much on a regular basis. So the number one thing are employees. So prior to me starting my business, I had a mentor who told me, like, when you open up a business, the biggest thing or biggest struggle or headache or whatever you want to call it that you're going to have to deal with is employees. And my God, she never lied. So working with other people and dealing with different personalities, it is like a totally different ball game. And when you are in charge or in over somebody or the manager, boss, whatever, it's like it puts a different layer or level to the whole dynamic, which makes it interesting. And just being knowing how to motivate people and get them to do their job and do it well, and and try to be the best that they're supposed to be. And it's like, it's a lot, I guess, because I grew up in a time, or I believe that I have a certain type of work ethic. When I show up to work, I'm going to give you the best that I have, and I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to try to learn what I need to learn so that I can give you my best. And it seems like sometimes now, some people, not saying all people, but some people, they are just, here for a paycheck or here to get paid. And I'm just amazed at the lack of work ethic that some people have and the lack of knowledge that people are not willing to try to get or want to get, so that they can do well on their job, instead of just getting by. But employees, trying to find a good employee, it can be tough. And even with the hiring process and having and bringing somebody on board or whatever, it's kind of like dating. Like, in their interview, they might sound real good, just like on their little profile or however they portray themselves to be. And then, woo child, when they actually get there, you like, man, I didn't know it was gonna be like this. And it is an interesting journey. And yeah, it's kind of like dating, and sometimes you will kiss quite a few frogs before you find your ideal employee, or an employee who is worthwhile for you. And like I said, and I'll probably do a few video in the future which talks about like my hiring process, interview tips or something like that, just to kind of give y'all an idea of the things I look for in my employees, or to help people who are interviewing to be a better candidate or a better employee. The other thing with employees, I'm just always amazed that people will go to school or go to college, and like it blows my mind or whatever. So we go to college, or we're told to go to college, or we're told to go to school, or school after high school. We pay to go to school to learn a skill, get a degree or whatever. We pay for those things. We pay to learn. But when you are a business owner, a boss, or entrepreneur, and you hire somebody, now you have to pay them to learn. And then they don't even want to learn half the time. So it's like, I'm paying you, I'm taking time to teach you and show you something that you don't know, and I'm paying you money to teach you, and you're not even taking it, trying to adhere to it or taking it to the next level, but yet you're willing to pay a school to teach you something that doesn't even guarantee that you're going to get a job. Like, it just blows my mind, the expectations that are placed upon employers in this job field, in this job market. Like, the stuff that we are expected to do with people who have like no motivation to do it. It's just interesting. So it's like, I gotta pay you to learn something, and you don't want to put in the effort. But nevertheless, so through my years as being an entrepreneur or an employer, I have definitely grown. I have definitely learned a lot to help me be able to better identify individuals who would make ideal employees versus those who would make not so ideal employees, which has helped me and better served me when operating and running my business. But it is like it can be a tricky process, just because people will put on their best front or best face in the interview, and especially with you being a small business owner, so you're doing a lot of this yourself. It's not like you have like an HR department or people who've had like years and years and years of interview and experience, or they might be using like a headhunter or some kind of hiring company, that kind of thing. It's typically you, and you have to like sort through and figure out and discern people's personalities in order to make it work. But anyway, so employees are one of the things that I definitely struggle with in my business, and just trying to find good, ideal employees. And I will say, for the most part, most of the people who have worked in my company were pretty awesome and amazing, but there were a few where it was interesting, or just the things that you have to say or do that you think would be common sense or common knowledge, but you gotta like spell out a lot of stuff that I thought would be just a given for people. But like I said, everybody has a different kind of work ethic. So let's move on from employees. The second thing I struggle with in my business is just organization and structure. So with me being a small business owner, with me being an entrepreneur and having my own business, pretty much any systems that are in my business, I have had to come up with, I have had to create, whether that be our procedures, our protocols, our training manuals, our any handbooks, that kind of stuff. Like, I have had to do it all. Like, I haven't had anything you see when you come to my office or whatever, anything you see is pretty much I have created that policy or that protocol, or had to put it in place. And what you will find too is same thing with, like I mentioned, with employees, same thing that you encounter with clients and patients and stuff like that. You'll have something in place until somebody like tests the limit or whatever, and you're like, man, I didn't think I needed to write a policy about this. Like, I thought it was a given that this would be understood, that people wouldn't try to be deceitful and do something like that. And next thing you know, you got to come up with a brand new policy, or a policy you had in place or you thought you could have in place. Like, one bad apple just kind of spoiled the bunch. So just creating that structure and organization and staying on top of that, because things arise and you do have to make changes. Case in point is COVID. Like, there were protocols that we had to put in place regarding that. I have to finish revising our employee manual to address that kind of thing. There's been changes in the payroll and stuff like that in regards to COVID-19, all that kind of stuff. Like, you just have to stay up to date with that, and stay abreast of how your business is functioning in order to make adaptations and changes as necessary and as needed for your business. So organization and structure is something that I struggle with, just because I can't just show up to work, do my job, and go on home. I am having to still create different things, create the framework or create the groundwork that pretty much holds my organization, my business together. So, like I said, with COVID, I'm having to do some stuff, some employee manuals and stuff like that, training and stuff like that. I'm actually having to do some stuff as we speak just to address different issues. Next thing I struggle with in my business is business growth. So, I am growing as a business, which I am so thankful for. But with growth, it creates different challenges and different obstacles or things or that you have to deal with. And the things that you're dealing with are both good and bad, but you have to just be able to handle it all and be able to adjust and adapt to it as needed. So I have been blown away with the way that God has been blessing my business, but we have been growing a good little bit, especially with us after us being closed down because of this virus. But I feel like God was like, just I had prayed for overflow, and I feel like I am drinking water from like a fire hydrant. And I had prayed about it again, and I was like, man, God, and he was like, don't ask for overflow if you're not ready to handle it. So it goes back to what I heard a guest pastor say a few years ago is, are you prepared for what you prayed for? So I prayed for business growth. God has blessed me with business growth. I am so appreciative. I am so thankful, but I have to prepare and get myself a little bit ready. And even when I thought I was prepared, your girl wasn't prepared. I gotta get it together because yeah. But I'm thankful. I am so thankful. All right. The fourth thing I struggle with in entrepreneurship is, all right, that was my alarm. As y'all know, I have all kinds of systems set up to kind of to manage my time. But anyway, so the fourth thing I struggle with is delegation. So, as a small business owner, there are a lot of things that you start off doing yourself to make sure your business grows and functions as it's supposed to. But eventually, as you continue to grow, you got to start delegating some of that stuff. And that is what I'm struggling with because, as I mentioned, we are definitely growing, and I cannot do half of the stuff that I have been doing before and do it well and do it efficiently. So I need to be better at delegating, which also means I have to be better at training other people to be able to do the things that I did and do it correctly and do it with excellence, the way or with the expectations that I would have if I was doing it myself. So delegation is something I struggle with. I know a lot of business coaches and stuff like that always harp on delegate. And I am not saying delegation is bad, but I do feel like you need to know how to do some stuff. Now, some stuff that is like out of your wheelhouse, you need to have at least an overview of it or whatever, especially when it comes to like finances or something that could have a liability on your business or legal issues or something like that on your business. You definitely need to have a handle on it. You can't just delegate that to somebody and be like, I'm clueless on it. This person has total control over it. In that sense, I don't like delegation with that. Like, I feel like I need to know or have an overview of certain things, especially the important things, or like I said, when it comes to finances or something that could be a liability or a legal issue in terms of my business. I feel like I need to know a little something before I delegate it to somebody else. Yes, there are things that I don't need, I'm probably not going to have a handle on, but if I am delegating it to somebody, like something like, your taxes or whatever, your accountant, like they should definitely have an understanding. But even with that, they make you sound like when you get your taxes prepared, they're like, they only did this based off of the information you provided so that they're not held responsible or whatever. But yeah, certain things you need to know how it's run, or how it should be run, to make sure that it is being run and done effectively in your business. But I do struggle with that with delegation. But don't delegate too early. Definitely have an overview of what needs to be done, so you kind of have an idea of what's involved and can prepare the person who the task is going to be given to. All right, last thing that I struggle with in business ownership is like my finances and my buying power. So in one of my previous videos, I mentioned how I have just recently been able to pay myself in my business, and that's because the business just was not making enough to pay me a salary or at that time. So finances is definitely a thing, and just trying to keep everything in balance and keep everything cost effective. Because even now, as we're growing and we've been in business for 4 years, there's certain things that I'm looking at like, hey, how can we make this more cost effective? Like, can we save money here? Can this system be more efficient? Like, I'm changing some of my systems. I'm changing some of the business, I won't say businesses, but some of the background systems that I use, whether it's like my website or since we're a medical office, my EHR system and stuff like that. I'm trying to see what is like the most cost effective in doing the job, and is what we have in place, is it doing the job that is needed for our business growth? Like, does this particular system or software that we have in place, is it going to take us to the next level? Is it going to help us in our business? And how can we save money and still, get what we need to get done? So finances has always been an issue too, just because you have expenditures and trying to decide what to spend money on that will be beneficial to the business versus saving it, reinvesting in the business, that kind of thing. Just trying to make the best choices. Same thing with finances when it comes to hiring employees. Like, how many employees do I need to have with this type of business growth? Just trying to balance everything out, and it's a lot of moving parts. And when it comes to the financial aspect of it, just to see if things are going to work. So right now, those are the 5 things that I currently or have struggled with in my business or as an entrepreneur. In the comment section though, please feel free to share with me some of the things that you find difficult with or struggle with as an entrepreneur or business owner. And I'll be happy to hear your comments or what you struggle with, and maybe also too we can possibly address it in a future video. All right, that is all I have for now. If you enjoyed this video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and also hit the notification bell. This is your girl Rita, also known as the Goal Digger. Take care, everyone.